Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, Rovi, and MScribe, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about artificial general intelligence and what tokens are connected to such activities.
First of all, what is AGI?
Yeah.
Is that important? Does Web3 have any means of contribution towards getting to that end?
Right.
And then where are we
question.
right now? Yeah, I think that's an important question. And also, in context of this thing we're about to talk about, this Stargate project, is that the ultimate motivation? All of a sudden, $500 billion has been aggregated and resourced towards a collective AI initiative. What is the actual purpose to this? It's obviously some sort of race against other competitors, right?
Yeah. So OpenAI just made an announcement talking about the Stargate project.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Funding $500 billion into the U.S. AI infrastructure.
Right.
And I still need to look deeper into it, but it's coming from SoftBank, OpenAI, Oracle, MGX, and other partners like Microsoft and NVIDIA.
Yeah, so these are some giant, essentially the titans of AI, innovators of the world today.
Yeah.
I mean, hilariously enough, excluding XAI and Elon Musk.
Yeah. Colossus.
Yeah.
Not a big deal, apparently.
Definitely doesn't need to be factored into this newly formed Manhattan project.
Yeah.
Which is very odd. So this was all part of the grand show of Trump's inauguration, right? At some point, Sam Altman came on with Elon and started discussing AI, and it's part of this next 4-year journey for the United States of America, right? It's a big thing.
Yeah,
right?
The United States needs to stay ahead of this. Otherwise, you're going to get dominated.
And you're saying there's already evidence of that happening, right? You've leveraged, what is it called? Deep state?
Deep state. Oh, that's a good name, though. No, DeepSeek.
Oh, okay, DeepSeek.
Yeah, DeepSeek from China is apparently 97% cheaper than OpenAI's O1 model.
Not only that, you've been using it, right? And and it's producing
it's first of all, it's faster.
Results.
It's faster and it has better output.
That's crazy, and it's the cheapest.
And it's cheaper.
And this is China's flagship.
And it's open source.
Wow. So already there's signs of us getting smackarooed out there in the race.
Yeah,
right?
I feel like this was built on top of the knowledge of OpenAI, though.
Everything.
So it should have been. So this is kind of inevitable, is sort of the point.
But nonetheless, right? AI, even though everything's open source, I guess there's still macro factors at play, such as geopolitics, right? So maintaining positions of power across all vectors is of utmost importance for most of these nation leaders, right?
Especially for AGI.
Yeah, and especially in the context of how that is applied for the military-industrial complex, right?
Yeah, if you do, exactly. If you do any research in artificial intelligence, every one of these seasoned engineers, they compare AI with nuclear technology.
Yeah, and I hear that comparison. I was seeing this. That was my initial gut reaction. It's okay, this is they're not declaring it as this of some sort of scale of a Manhattan Project initiative, where we're at an official, nuclear arms race against the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's much more of a rosy picture to that, but I think internally that's really what's happening here.
Yeah.
Right. This is actually a declaration of war against the rest of the world.
Yeah.
In regards to AI and its progress. Right.
Yeah. It sort of reminds me of the airplane race where it's the Wright brothers versus Langley.
Yeah.
And Langley had all the funding and everything, but no real motivation to actually achieve it other than the fame. And then the Wright brothers had no funding and they achieved flight.
Oh, I actually don't know that story.
Yeah.
That's interesting. The hell?
Yeah.
So then what are you saying?
And so it's these guys got all the funding, but...
So they're the Langleys?
Potentially.
So who's the Wright brother? Or maybe it's Moss.
It could be. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. Yeah.
Maybe it's this, these crypto Web3 projects, right?
Yeah. So let's first define what AGI means. This is what are the capabilities? It's increased reasoning, learning, perception, language, and emotional abilities.
That's interesting. Yeah. So this is, I guess Google's interpretation of AGI, but something interesting to factor in is this uncertainty. Actually, there's no real shared consensus around like what is the qualifications of an AGI. Right?
Kind of reminds me of what is the metaverse.
Yeah, what is it? Is it
apparently it's Twitter and Roblox and
AOL Instant Messenger?
Yeah, Messenger.
Like World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Is it that? Not really. Not in our opinion.
Not per our definition, right?
Yeah.
So AGI, similar thing, but nonetheless, obviously there's like a shared alignment to unlock this, because I think it introduces a new paradigm of possibility, right? It's, to me, a little bit of like an underlying like superpower unlock here is that like artificial creativity aspect to it, right? Where like now these AIs can like think of things beyond like human comprehension, I guess, and therefore introduce 100%. Like new medicines, new scientific methods.
They can make connections that we cannot because there's so much data.
Yeah, and then now they're creating new layers of data, AI generated, that can be extrapolated from there, and then you got like some real serious like accelerating progress, right?
Yeah.
And it's like it would have possibly taken us many generations to get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah, easily.
So I think that's it. That's the underlying motivation here, right?
Yeah. So speaking of new paradigm, we're looking at Moss's website.
Yeah. So this is, okay, we're going to introduce you guys. So we're speaking to the founder here pretty soon.
Yeah. So it's going to be released on Saturday.
Yeah. So a full hour podcast discussion, because, this is part of our, we're listening to you guys series. Some of you guys have been really pinging us to like really cover Moss and others like Pippin and based AI and other cool stuff happening. So we have been looking into these projects, and this one is, it is one hell of a rabbit hole.
Yeah, and it's in our lane too, because they discuss a lot about the metaverse.
Yeah, there's a lot of contextualization of the importance of the metaverse and like digital economics as like a wrapper for like a higher likelihood of like a playground for AGI emergence, right? We're firm believers like that is probably the case, right? I think it's more likely like these emergent properties of intelligence can emerge when there's like these economic stimuli as part of it, as opposed to it's just mathematical algorithms and the missing components of like the needs for productivity and value discovery, all that stuff, right? That's the complexities of like economics that drives us as human beings.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So continuing on the list here. So the creator is called Landon Moss. And so once you start looking into the Moss like ecosystem, it's like jumping into deep water. Like you're sort of like in it, and it's pretty complex.
Yeah, which is funny from our perspective, because now, we get this feedback a lot from people who have heard about DMT and the stuff that we're working on.
Not the drug.
Not the drug, no.
Yeah.
The digital matter theory. And like, the bitmap ecosystem and ordinals, all this stuff, right? It's like, sounds really cool, but like it's really complex, they say. It's too complicated. It's too hard to understand what's actually happening. So therefore, nobody's ever gonna like catch on, right? That's the major FUD vector for our own personal like efforts.
Yeah.
And we're seeing similar like reactions to this, right?
Yeah, once you take a look at this ecosystem, it sort of makes sense like why the complexity is like really hard to understand.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at the platform, we're looking at the Moss AI framework, and then the Hyper AGI network.
So you see some interesting little components here, right? I see like little graphics cards there at the bottom.
Yeah, GPUs, yeah. Yeah, so we have a pod here that launches these agents.
Yeah, and then you see some tokens here.
Yeah,
some
Moss and Hyped.
And then you see a gas spending component to that to get to improved inference and rendering, dude, which is ultimately like what AI is supposed to, or the ultimate goal, right? Is to create better iterations of artificial intelligence, right? So we have a whole ecosystem outline here of how there's like a network of nodes at the very ground layer supporting essentially this large communal effort to not just generate agents, but to like finely tune them through like different gamification schemes. And hopefully at the end of the day, we got some AGI, dude, at the end of all this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of components. There's like new words to learn, causal machine.
Yeah, so we're just kind of like skimming the surfaces, guys. So
Yeah.
skim along with us. So hopefully we can get some real Q&As going during this conversation tomorrow or on Saturday.
Yeah, so we have a tweet here by Zinc. It says, study this diagram. Moss is my favorite token. You have to read this until the end. I'll try to explain in super simple terms. So he basically goes from a pod for fun to create an agent all the way down to Moss becomes more valuable through this entire ecosystem. And then, so here's referencing that same image from earlier.
Yeah.
But definitely read through this, and we're going to be talking to the founder here in, I guess in our time tomorrow, and then you'll be able to watch this interview on Saturday.
Yeah, and the reason why it's important to, like, you have to digest this to kind of understand, because we're at the point now of this, like, AI super cycle where, you know, we're in between, like, the first major, or maybe, like, the second one. The first one was, like, Gotius Maximus and, you know, that initial hype.
AI XBT.
Yeah, like, the second leg was, like, AI XBT and virtuals kind of blowing up, and then Eliza becoming, like, massive.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're seeing, like, another lull, right, before, like, the third real, like, awareness phase.
Yeah.
Where, like, the market is looking for something beyond just GPT wrappers.
Yeah, Twitter bots.
That, you know, that stuff is cool, but, you know, show me something new, right?
Mm-hmm.
Show me something that might actually change some stuff, right? And
yeah. And so part of Landon's like pitch here is the Web3 road to AGI. So his perspective is reaching AGI is going to be through Web3, and he has this extremely long article on Twitter,
extremely long,
kind of outlining like his thoughts.
Yeah, so we recommend, what is that app, dude? Notebook LM.
Notebook LM. Yeah. So what you should do is copy and paste this information.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the link will work, but copy and paste this information on Notebook LM and just ask questions based on this data.
Yeah, and that goes for any, like, wall of text that you're kind of like, you know, if you're like me, you know, not the most natural of, like, readers out there.
Yeah.
I'm really not. Even, like, in school and stuff, I was not that great at reading textbooks, but
I mean, you're reading a lot these days. Like,
I know, but still, it's not pleasant.
No.
It's still painful every time I'm looking at it, dude. But it's irregardless of the pain, you know, you gotta do it, right? If you want the knowledge, the power unlock. But there are nice, useful AI tools now that, like, really compress things neatly for you. So all you gotta do, like you're saying, is copy and paste this wall text there, and, like, ask it, like, okay, what's a good question?
Like summarize these in, you know, a few key points and just get a summary of this whole thing. It's like, you know, what is the Moss token for? What is the hype token for? And, you know,
like, what is the actual goal and purpose of this project? You know, what are the differentiators between this agent framework and others, like, I don't know, AI, like Eliza or whatever's out there, right? Because ultimately that's what we're trying to discover here, right? Because I think what we're starting to understand is these agent frameworks is they're becoming like L1-esque. Yeah. In the sense that they enable new explosive activities of ecosystem in the same way like blockchains do, right? Yeah. You know, anytime a new blockchain is deployed, regardless of, like, how much more refined it is as, like, a scalable chain or not, what's actually happening is you're just introducing new token creation, like, substrates, right? Yeah. So with these AI agent models and frameworks, you're creating AI agent substrates, right? With different flavorings, different interpretations of how to go about creating a more optimal version of that.
Yeah, so you're just kind of outlining the parallels of, like, these L1, layer 1 assets to, like, agentic sort of like platform technologies.
Yeah, and if this thesis is true, this parallel is accurate, then that is, like, probably the biggest opportunity we've seen in years, right? Because just open CoinGecko now. Look at the top 50. Most of them are L1 chains. Yeah. We're talking tens of billions of dollars in value, like some of them in the hundreds of billions, right? And most of these started out basically valueless, right? Like at the very bottom of, like, interpretable understanding. There was a point in time where nobody knew what Ethereum was. Yeah. It was too complicated to understand.
Yeah, it was.
People were like, fuck that. Yeah. I'll buy Bitcoin. It's gold, dude. It's digital gold.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, like a 10,000x later, you have the second most powerful token.
Yeah, Ethereum is a big deal. So is Solana. So are all the other chains, right? So understand these agent frameworks. They're important, right? So
yeah. So speaking of the agent framework, the question is, what is the advantage of Moss AI comparing with other AI agent frameworks? And so that's like the most important question here. And it's a framework that supplies agentic activity, which with an output where the AI is supposed to recursively reinforce itself and then update and learn from itself, right, from other agents.
Yeah, and have like a more like a tokenomics approach at actually like incentivizing human contribution to that end of like discovering these new vectors of fine tuning and refining, different composable models, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is important, very valuable, right? And I think that's where the metaverse aspect comes in pretty good. Because we've looked at some of the archives of videos that these guys have produced, and you see like an example of a training module is a 3D environment where there's like cars set up in a racetrack.
Yeah.
So if you just start that simulation, like what's the car going to do without any like training?
Yeah, correct. This is going to go all over the place.
Everywhere. Just zig and zag and zoom. It's not going to, so you have to give it that contextual rule set. It's like you could drive, but stay within the bounds of this track.
Yeah.
Right?
And don't crash into anything.
Yeah, but if it does, then it's like, that's wrong.
Yeah.
So you got to tell this, let the system know that was a wrong attempt. And then it's like, okay, do it again. Oh, it's staying on the track. That's right.
Yeah.
Now it understands. It's learned something. Right?
Yeah, so that model that you just trained can be leveraged in other different types of gaming AI ecosystems.
Exactly. Yeah, now you've created like a new neural connection in a sense.
Yeah.
Like if the whole idea is to create like an enhanced like brain, an AI like inference model.
Right.
Like you're incentivizing people to contribute like to forming these new connections over time. Right. And then so the ultimate underlying question is like, where does this all apply at the end of the day? Yeah, that's to us like the biggest question mark, something we were hoping Landon will better explain.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's his Twitter account, and this is Landon here.
Let's listen to this 8-second snippet, dude. What does he have to say?
Here we go.
Hello. Good afternoon. This is Landon speaking.
That's it.
That was it?
That's the architect.
Hold on, dude. Zoom in on. Is this AI? His mouth was like not matching. Maybe
Well, I think it's because of the delay.
Hello. Good afternoon. This is Landon speaking.
Yeah, that was definitely not matched, right?
Yeah,
not synchronized well?
It's definitely a delay.
Okay. Not AI?
No.
Okay. Just making sure. So that's actually Landon.
Yeah. So this is the guy we're going to be speaking to. And so, all the links will be in the description, so definitely check this out. And so who's Landon? So it's Landon Wang. And what's interesting about this guy is he's University of Electronic Science and Technology of China.
Yeah, so it's a doxed dev, right? I like that already.
Yeah.
I mean, we deal with a lot of undoxed personas in the space, and it's like 50-50. I don't hate it, I don't love it. It's fine, right? You don't have to dox your identity to like do something of significance, but I feel like there's way more trust when you do.
Yeah.
And in this guy's case, he's got some significant accolades, so I think that adds to the perception of value.
Yeah, we also looked up UESTC, right? It's in the top 1%.
In the top 1% of like globally recognized universities. So this guy is no slouch. And the thing that's even more impressive is his 20 years
of working on
AI.
Yeah.
Fundamental AI principles and problems. Right?
20 years ago, it was neural networks.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily like
artificial intelligence.
how we understand it today, right?
Yeah. So here it is, 2004 from Landon Wang, right? An article on neural networks and evolvable software.
Interesting. That's very cool.
That's crazy for the time.
Yeah. So if you guys who like to actually read, there's some. Read that for us. You let us know, or if you want to test out.
Copy and paste it on
Notebook LM.
Yeah.
If you want to like trial that thing, it's not a very expensive app, is it, or is it free?
Notebook LM?
Yeah.
I think it's free.
Even better, dude. You gotta love AI.
Yeah.
You would expect these things to be like really expensive.
Yeah.
But they're really not.
They're not.
It's crazy.
All right. So here's another image of the different tokens. So how many tokens are we talking about? There's 3 of them. MOS, AGME, which is Agent Me, and then the hyped token.
Yeah, which
hyper token. Yeah.
It's like hyper AGI. it's essentially the utility token of that node network, right? That layer 3 blockchain aspect.
Yeah.
And USD is not part of the
Yeah, that's not part of the
the
ecosystem.
token flywheel here, but of course you got to start there with everything.
Yeah, you got to buy the GPUs here.
So simple breakdown, Moss token, it's a pumped out fun meme coin. Essentially, there is an AI agent like called Moss AI that's out there. That token represents that AI, and you spend it to acquire either GPUs, right? These little graphics cards that contribute to this network, or agents themselves. You launch a pod, right? And that's the spend of the Moss token. Why would you do that? Because you're earning these hype tokens, right? Underneath. That's the form of mining essentially within this ecosystem.
Yeah, so you're either running GPUs or you are deploying agents, and in either case, you're earning the hype token.
Yeah, and then the productive agent category of things, you want to be not just deploying them, you want to be improving on them, right? Improving their, I guess, intellectual capabilities, yada, 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 right? Refining their purpose and stuff, because by doing that, you're actively mining.
Yeah.
So it is a little complex. So 3 tokens, that's a lot. Probably one of the bigger, potential drawbacks, right? Is like this degree of complexity in understanding the token. I mean,
yeah,
it is a lot.
Of all the 3, is like, which one do you buy?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on here. It says, what is the relationship with? Okay, so it's basically this, but in text form.
Yeah, by Landon himself. So yeah, definitely look into that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of these tokens get burned when used, right?
Yeah.
Moss gets burned, AGME gets burnt, and then Hyped is a custom gas fee coin of Hyper AGI chain, which is an L3.
On Arbitrum 1.
Yeah.
So it's an app chain, essentially. So we talked about L3s a couple of years ago, whenever like ZK Sync was coming around. It's like, the concept of L3s and app chains are probably going to become pretty ubiquitous at some point. And here we are, dude. Abstract chain is coming.
Yeah.
It's like spinning up a chain is like pretty easy these days.
Yep. Yeah. I remember when we went to that conference, there was like 50 different ZK startups.
Yeah, I guess we're seeing why, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a chain, it's essential. So the question is like, do you need to have this degree of complexity for your ecosystem, or is it better just to kind of like tap into existing resources? That's something we've been thinking about, right?
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's take a look at the market cap here. So we're looking at the Moss token on Solana, and it has a 9.7 million market cap. It went through its like initial discovery phase here.
Yeah.
And went as high as 48 million, so now it's at 9 million.
Yeah, just like most AI coins, right? There's some that are they're coming back pretty quickly, right? Like Griffin and
Pippin
is coming back pretty aggressively. So, but nonetheless, like we're in that like second stage lull, that we're, I think the market has to really understand like which of these existing AI ecosystem plays have some sort of distinguishing factors to them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, here's the other one, AGME. So market cap of 700,000.
Yeah. So I guess here, what are you speculating on? I mean, this is, I think, like the first pod deployed agent. So if this ecosystem is to succeed, and you have thousands of agents into the future that have been deployed,
yeah,
the first one should have some notable, like,
yeah, for sure,
contextual value, right?
Yeah, and finally, Hyper AGI, not on CoinGecko here, but it's aware.
Well, the description is there, so I'm assuming it's just not an actual token yet.
Yeah, so this is the token that you use to mine. You use the GPUs and you use the agent pods to mine.
Right. So it's essentially, think of it as like the network's resource token.
Yeah.
It is the native gas token. So I don't know, and it is the miner allocated reward. So I'm assuming mining activity is already happening. I think I've seen reports of these agents. People are creating agents.
Yeah.
And they're mining high PT tokens. So they must be mining points, right? Like,
yeah, and you mine them specifically in this virtual environment.
Yeah, like here's let's see if we could, I guess.
So you open the video.
Yeah, I guess we can kind of watch this.
At Moss, when do you go?
So let me mute
That's
that.
super fucking loud, dude.
Yeah.
It's all right. Are you muting it because of the music?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, hold on. Go back because I kind of missed the beginning. because it's telling you. All right.
Moss Ryzen. So this is that that matrix 3D environment. Remember that?
Launch your agent to earn UBAI.
Yeah.
So here we are, like essentially by interacting with it, you're contributing to this training process.
Mm-hmm.
From LLM to LAM. I think that's the large action model. So that's how these agents are able to like perceive their environments. Blah, blah, blah. Gee, that's a lot of stuff happening in one video, dude.
Yeah, it is. All right, so that's going to be, it's part of the links here.
Yeah. Yeah, man. This is going to be an interesting one. So tune in on Saturday, guys, because we're going to try and go as deep as we can about all this stuff. I mean, I don't even think an hour is going to be enough, to be
definitely
honest.
not.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're going to try. We're going to go deep, and I mean, we come from the metaverse background anyway, so we'll be able to really ask the deep questions here on how agents are going to be participating in the metaverse. What are they going to be doing in the metaverse?
Yeah, that is important. Yeah,
and how do you motivate the agents to do anything in the metaverse, right? How do you do that?
Yeah, does it need a motivation, like an internal one? Or
Right.
can you just essentially command these agents
let
to-
them mine tokens, right? Like,
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. This is an interesting pairing, right? Because we spent the last 5-6 years really honed in and focused on the metaverse and its discoverable value vectors of what it is initially, what it is humanity is going to be doing in the metaverse. But now, as of late, it's like, well, yeah, what is the AI economy going to look like?
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, we'll get to the bottom of that.
All right. Well, all the links will be in description again. I appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure you follow our Twitter accounts. Make sure you watch our interview with Landon Wang on Saturday. And ask any questions, right? We spend a lot of time looking in the comment section. That's how we found Moss. And if you find anything you want us to look at, definitely comment section below. And appreciate you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.